Welcome back for the 6th and final episode in the Land Institute's Perennial Practice video series. I'm Aubrey Streit Krug. We're now in Ottawa County in Kansas in the watershed of the Solomon River, Niwahubeke. That's the name of the river in the Umalha language that I've learned to love. It means the sacred waters or holy river. This is the watershed I was born and raised in. When I moved back home to Kansas a few years ago, the Land Institute's Director of Research, Tim Cruz, brought me on a surprise field trip. First, we went to the Institute's field site, just to the east of my current location. There are soil ecology research plots in a remnant bottomland prairie that remarkably has never been plowed but has been hayed for many decades, and whose diverse perennial community remains incredibly productive. Then, Tim and I came over here to this neighboring location, a past alfalfa field that is being replanted into prairie in order to provide the first intentionally restorative natural burial ground in Kansas. Heart Land Prairie Cemetery was established in 2015 on 13 acres donated by the Land Institute. The nonprofit cemetery was envisioned by and is directed by Tim's spouse, Sarah Cruz. Modern burial practices can be expensive and specialized. Many of them use chemical treatments, as well as coffins or vaults, to delay or stop people's bodies from decomposing into the ecosystem. In contrast, the kind of burials done by most humans for most of our species' history involve a return to Earth. Natural or green burials involve placing unembalmed bodies or cremated remains in biodegradable containers, such as shrouds or urns. This approach reconnects human bodies with ecosystem processes. Here at Heartland Prairie Cemetery, grave sites like this one are marked with survey markers and GPS coordinates. There are also walking trails through the woods on either side of the burial meadow. The cemetery is a place that welcomes community visitors and a place where communities participate in ceremonies of memory. After their loved ones die, families may help prepare their bodies for burial and prepare and care for their place here. Families, friends, neighbors, and volunteers are invited to participate in the actions of burial, digging the grave, lowering the body to rest in it, filling the grave, planting grasses and forbs, visiting and remembering through the seasons and through the years. I like to bring students and workshop groups here on field trips because this is a place of perspective. We can contemplate what is necessary to bring humans back into alignment and relationship with the more than human world. The creativity, knowledge, courage, and care work required to bring Heartland Prairie Cemetery into being is impressive. Creating a diverse perennial agriculture also requires a lot from us, both socially and ecologically. An agriculture that feeds human communities equitably for the long term needs, like this cemetery, to be healing for people and land alike. Maybe healing happens not by denying reality, but by opening into its largeness, its limits, and its mystery. What Heartland Prairie Cemetery reminds me, at least, is that we can reweave human societies and cultures into ecological cycles of growth and decay, life and death, and we can learn to do that beautifully. With a nod to Heartland Prairie Cemetery's slogan, today's practice is to rest in perennials. First, wherever you are while you are watching this, whatever posture you are in, breathe and be there. Corpse pose is optional. Then let yourself sink into the layers of place. Let yourself process what you have learned through these videos over the last 6 weeks. Maybe return to that first map you drew in the first perennial practice of a place you are in or that you remember or love when I ask you to consider what perennials were there or are there. Maybe now you can say their names. Maybe you have now perceived some diverse patterns in that place. Maybe you have now traced some of the roots of people's relationships with that place, including joys and griefs, and learned the actual types of soil that plant roots could hold on to. Maybe you have now felt the care and community that sustains or that could restore, reimagine, or return to that place. Maybe now you are ready to realize your own next steps. In my practice of teaching and learning, I have found myself returning over and over to some questions posed by the eco-critic Sue Ellen Campbell. In her exercise called Layers of Place, which I am deliberately and gratefully riffing off of here, she prompts people to sense and imagine place across many directions and dimensions. The final one of her questions is about why the place matters, materially, cosmically, philosophically, spiritually. Why does your place matter? Why might you and your place matter for the possibility of a perennial future? I hope that you can carry those questions forward out of this moment of rest, back into the work of your life and all of our lives. On behalf of the Land Institute, I truly appreciate your participation in this Perennial Practice series and your willingness to practice and experiment with me. Please stay in touch.